Well, good day, everyone, and welcome to the Cutting Edge Install podcast brought to you by Omni Cubed, where innovation meets installation and quite literally between those two, everything in between. I am your host, Merv Campbell, and it's an absolute pleasure to have you with us, whether you're listening, whether you're watching, wherever you are. It's good to have you here. What is this podcast all about? Well, if you've never listened before, shame on you, go back and do it. But this podcast is about celebrities, for celebrating pros, for those who are the movers and the shakers and the experts in their field. We dive into stories, we share content, we have insight from them, and we tend to have a laugh along the way if we possibly can. Obviously, the accent gives it away. The Irish know how to have fun, so you're on for a pretty good time. Whether you're on the job, whether you're on the road, whether you're looking to stay sharp, you have come to the right place. So let's get cracking. I have Andrew with me today. Andrew, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on our podcast. Basically, first question for listeners who maybe don't know you. Who are you? How did your journey start in glass? And what on earth put you in the world of custom design and fabrication?
Well, thank you for having me. It's great to be on, and definitely interested in what you're doing here. I've been in the business for, this will be year 5.
Okay.
Before that, I was in fire protection. I went to school and I somehow ended up in construction, just like my great-grandpa, my grandpa, and my dad, even though I said I wasn't going to. It somehow pulls you back in because somehow it's in your blood and you don't even realize it. The construction when I was 20 years old didn't sound very cool, but it's kind of where I'm at now, and I couldn't imagine being anywhere else.
Awesome.
So I was actually in New Orleans doing fire protection. I opened up a branch down there, fire sprinklers and alarms, and I had a couple kids down there. And I was born and raised in Minnesota. And in the meantime, my dad had retired and bought a business. And he kind of saw it as this custom glass, kind of a hobby business, and he realized pretty quickly that it was a bigger business than that, and he needed some help. So he pulled me on as general manager and then later president to kind of oversee that company. And it was, I think custom glass was how it always was, but it was kind of a focus on the fabrication side of it. These are artisans that were went to school for glass fusing and graphic design, and they were coming together with the most cutting edge techniques to really dig into a creative way to come up with a new product or some project that's never been done before. And that was kind of 1984, I think, is when it was created by 2 artisans, and it kind of grew in reputation in the Minnesota and the Twin Cities area as these guys will tackle anything. And as that went on, we'll tackle different hardware, we'll tackle different projects, big, small, whatever. And, over the years, we just kind of started getting the attention of residential contractors more than anything because they had the appreciation for the quality installation a little bit more than, some of the commercial. Not that that doesn't exist, but there's, a high-end residential luxury home. They've got someone looking very closely as opposed to maybe an apartment building or a hotel. It's not quite the same degree of quality check. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, you get the high end with the old magnifying glass out, checking every little thing. Oh man, that could be very intimidating.
Away. No, I can see it from 12 inches away because I'm in the shower and I see a little scratch there.
Oh, and you're like, no, don't look at it. No, that's funny. That is funny. So basically got pulled in, was part of the wider scheme, but was there ever a moment or was there ever a project where it really confirmed, right, this is where I need to be, this is what I really need to do?
Yeah, I think, when I was in fire sprinklers, fire alarms, fire extinguishers, there's not something that my wife was interested in hearing about at the dinner table. It wasn't very exciting or sexy or anything like that. And by nature, I mean, it's a good business. It's a solid recurring revenue business. And I like that side of it. So, I was chasing oil refineries and hotels, and I thought that was kind of cool. But the actual business, the product wasn't very interesting. And, the first week I started here, probably the first month, I just am like, man, we're inventing new ways of doing things and new products almost every day.
Yeah.
which is, it's like, not something maybe we could patent, but, a
No.
better way of doing something, or a new way, or just a completely new design. And
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty interesting. And, as the projects got bigger and more complex, it was kind of cool to see everyone collaborate. And, I'm kind of more of a people person. I like to get everyone together and, make
Yeah.
decisions and think through. I kind of like when there's a really hard problem to solve,
That's
really,
awesome.
really complex thing. And, I
Yeah.
think that's what really gets me going. And, as I got more into the industry, I just made more relationships and, met more of the actual builders, the contractors. And, as you start to do that, it becomes part of you, and you become
Yeah.
part of the industry. And I think at that point, probably a year or two in, that's when I really, really got sucked in. And I think it's the relationships.
Yeah. It is. It so is. And this industry and the glass industry is it's renowned for it, and people on the outside, they think they know what it's like when you're actually in the midst of it, but until you're in it, then you realize, wow, there's something special about these group of people. And to your point, it is the every day there are new challenges, there are difficulties, and you can either stick your head in the sand and hope it goes away, or like you, pull everyone together and be like, right, let's sort this out. And what's sad is the type of you is getting less and less. And the more off the, well, that's not my job, let's just push it on to someone else, is becoming more and more. So what's really cool is people like yourself, they kind of stand like a sore thumb. And suddenly, like this podcast, or like on LinkedIn, or I've heard of like WhatsApp groups where there's a guy like yourself who's the so-called like expert, because they've been there, kind of done it and seen it, and who love to problem solve, and they're helping a group of other people. Like, how do I do this? Has anyone got any tips? And then the next thing, boom, Andrew chimes in with, hey, have you tried this? Which is phenomenal, because you're not taking it to your grave. You're not holding on to it. It's like, hey, we're in this together. Let's sort it out. So yeah, that's pretty darn cool.
Yeah.
Keep
Yeah, it is
doing what you're
cool.
doing.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. No,
Awesome.
I mean, it's at the point where it's like you're not sharing trade secrets or anything, but
Ah,
there's it's an instance of something that we ran into that we want to help. And I don't
yeah.
know what it's like in other industries. I only know Minnesota, but
Hmm.
everyone's very helpful and collaborative. And
Yep.
hey, we broke a piece of glass. Do you have
I
any in
know.
stock that you could help us out with? And I think
Yeah.
everyone here is really, really helpful in that
Yeah.
regard. And, we've got a lot
Yeah.
of industry peers that are, more than interested in helping each other out.
Totally. We obviously California is where Omni Cubed is, and we have the California Glass Association, which is an awesome gathering of people, because what's cool is there's so many different shops, so many different people, so many different experts. And what they do is they tend to have like nights out. Like they'll go to Top Golf, or
Yeah.
they'll do these different events, and they're not, it's not like everyone's on the same level. And so they're like, you hear conversations off, well, I ran into this issue, and someone will chime in with, well, did you think of this? And so, yeah, it's phenomenal to see that sort of teamwork and camaraderie, not just in one company, but kind of in the collective group of all things glazing. So, yeah, no, it's a remarkable industry. But sort of getting back to you then, you kind of blend sort of technical craftsmanship with design. But what makes your shop different from, say, a traditional glass fabrication business?
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe I'll explain, what we do a little bit,
Yeah,
and then I'll kind of go into that question. So, I mean,
that'd be
Glasser
cool.
Design, we've been around, like I said, it was two, glass artisans who started a business in 1984, and they just wanted to do
Hmm.
the cool stuff for the casinos and the hotels and the fused glass. And, we've got stained glass, we have carving, we have painting. We do really unique carving where we've got like dunes in the glass and all that kind of stuff where you can light it
Good.
up. And we've got
Epic.
kilns, so we've got big 4x8 kilns, which is pretty unique. So we're able
Yeah.
to slump big doors, big glass panels in there, any design
Yeah.
we want, any shape, any texture, all hand done. And then we do fusing too, so any
Dude.
colors, we can actually fuse we have like four layers of 1/4 inch glass, shattered, and then we can fuse it together to a 1 inch countertop.
Wow. Uh-huh.
That's something we do. We stock a lot of antique mirror and pattern glass, so that's kind of, we have a lot of customer, like cabinet companies come to us a lot. That's a big,
Yeah.
we've kind of known, they've known about us for 40 years.
Yeah.
Um, but, beyond all that, I mean, there's, we do metal, like
Uh-huh.
different things with metal and glass and
Uh-huh.
paint,
Yeah.
carving, sandblasting, and, gradients and, all that kind of unique stuff. But it's because of that, we attract creative people
Yeah.
who know a lot about all these different, and every day is different. So there's always a new thing, a
Mm-hmm.
new project, and how do we have it all come together?
Yes.
And because of that, we just say yes to everything. And
Yeah.
so the yeah,
Uh,
which yeah, be careful what
that
you
can
wish
be
for.
good or
Yeah,
bad.
yeah. So,
Uh,
you got to create a minimum,
yeah.
amount about project
Totally.
you're gonna do it. And you're not just putting mirror on a cabinet door, like whatever.
Yeah.
You got to do a little bit bigger than that. But
Yeah.
we say yes to a lot of the big projects, and it gets us into some pretty cool places. And, the secret weapon is that I am willing to take on any project because
Yeah.
I am so confident in the knowledge that we have of
Yeah.
people with, I mean, some guys have 30 years experience, some guys have 20,
Yeah.
some guys, they came from stained glass and then they came into, custom fab, and there's all these different people that all come from different areas. I mean, we've got someone
Uh-huh.
who, she went to school for University of Wisconsin River Falls is a very prominent. It's like a glass program. So she has
Okay.
a Bachelor in Fine Arts in glass. So it's
Uh-huh.
kind of glass blowing and fusing. But
Yeah.
now she does it on a large scale with these big kilns. And when she's done here, she'll go to her other job, which is to teach people how to fuse glass. It's just like
No
in
way.
the blood, and you've got all this experience.
Dude,
And
that's
we've been able
epic.
to just really take advantage of that. And I mean, there's true artisans. It's not just
Yeah.
to make a big fused panel. You have to know, like, okay, with this size and this COE of glass and how it's going to fuse
Uh-huh.
over a certain time, it has to be
Yeah.
1500 degrees, but then cool down for 2 weeks to this. That's all technical. But then to
Dude,
actually have the creative
the flair. Yep.
artistry to be able to make it pretty and
Yeah.
care about the quality and the detail is a
Yeah.
very unique skill.
That's legit, man. Dang. That's so cool. I love the fact that, day job. Yep. Let's get that done. But then let's teach some other people. That's because what that does is it cements everything that's in your brain because you can't teach something you don't know. Although
Right.
I say that, but that's actually happening a lot these days. So,
Yeah.
maybe scrap that out of
There's
this.
no
But,
chat
you
GPT or
know,
something. Yeah.
yeah, oh my word, it's everywhere. But to be able to do that, that's one thing that's so cool because we try to do that here in our like machine shop where we have like two phenomenal engineers here, like legit. Um, but they're not going to be around forever. And
Yeah.
the skills they have, like pass it on. And it's so cool to see. Oh, that's awesome. So you kind of talked a little bit about your employees. Obviously, you've got a lot of trust in taking on a ton of jobs because you know what they're able to accomplish. But as a company, like how did you build that trust and that level of reputation in a market in Minneapolis that's like pretty difficult?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is just, that we would say yes to everything. And I think, you've got these fabricators and you've been able to attract good people over the years.
Yeah.
And there's always been this, when you do custom stuff like this a lot,
Uh-huh.
you really have to, dot your I's and cross your T's. And you learn
Yeah.
pretty quickly, oh, I'm going to do this really unique thing, but,
Mhm.
we forgot about this, one type of hardware that we need, and now the whole thing
Mm.
doesn't work.
Yeah.
And so, like, what we do is, we've got quality checks. So we check in every piece of glass we have. We'll either
Mhm.
buff it, edge it, or reject it. And
Mm.
we reject a lot of glass. And,
Okay.
the tempering plants know that. They just know that
Okay.
we're going to reject a lot.
Yeah.
The upside of that is that we've developed trust for quality with all
Mhm.
these high-end luxury builders. So,
Yeah.
over 20 years of us delivering on big atriums and partitions and shower doors and mirrors, and everyone's trying to push the bounds. That we're always saying yes and meeting the demand and being able to do it. At some point, you've developed that reputation. So, when I came aboard, we were kind of known, like in everyone's mind, was that we're a fabrication shop that really does
Okay.
really unique, cool things. We give pattern glass to the cabinet companies, and we give antique mirror, and we'll do all types of whatever holes you want, whatever shapes you want, and that was kind of the perception. But I looked at the
Yeah.
top customers every year, and it's, all like the top three are all custom builders. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, are we really a fab
Something in
shop, or
that.
are we a fab
Yeah.
shop and an installation shop?
Yep.
And for us to, really grow that, it was, it took a lot of legwork, it took a lot of work, but
Yeah.
what helped is I had the wind at my sails is, I could walk in and say I'm with Glass Art Design, and
Mm-hmm.
they already knew who I was. And they knew
Yeah.
I had a reputation for high quality, working with the top luxury builders, and that trust factor was already there a little bit.
That's
So that helped a big degree, and consistency over decades.
yeah. That's the thing. Yeah. You're only kind of as good as your last job. Some people
Yeah.
would say, and it's important to have that, attention to detail. Like it seems like your crew definitely has, because if you're rejecting a lot of glass, clearly it sits there.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yep. Oh, that's funny. But okay, obviously clients, we know who you're after. You don't really say no to any work, but how does getting into the work then, how does innovation or technology play into your work from sort of day to day? Do you have like specific software? You don't have to say what it is, obviously. But maybe you do. Is there any machines, tooling, whatever that kind of helps the day to day running of what you do?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say on the machine side, the equipment side, we're a little bit, traditional. We're not very modern. We've got,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we paint by hand.
Yep.
We do the stained glass by hand. We
Mm-hmm.
do a lot of our cutting by hand. We don't, the most used machine in our shop is the edger, just polishing the
Yep.
edges.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of belt sanders. We have a Mistral, and we've got the kilns, and then but those are our main machines,
Yeah.
and a drill press and a beveler, which
Uh-huh.
don't get me started on beveling machines. They're always down. I'm sure everyone
Yeah.
in the glass industry knows that.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I think when I came aboard, I thought, okay, I'm coming from fire sprinklers, bunch of
Mm-hmm.
pipe fitters, and they were not into technology.
No.
I come here, and it's stained glass artists who use paper, stacks of paper for every job, and it
Yep.
was it was a bit of a change.
Totally.
The accounting system was not lined up with the ERP system. There's no CRM system. There was no. It was like the ERP system was just, this is how we write up the work orders, but you're not going to be able to use QuickBooks. That's just for accounting. And
Yeah.
I think within the first year, I integrated all that because it was,
That's
and try
awesome.
to turn it into something we could scale up.
Yeah.
And now we've reached the point where we've almost reached its capacity. I mean,
Yeah.
QuickBooks isn't really meant for that. QuickBooks
No.
Enterprise, it's an
Yep.
enterprise software,
Sure.
but not the way we're using it.
No,
Our data files
it's
too big.
limited.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're trying to get more of a field software. We got some tablets, and that's kind of our
Mm-hmm.
2026 goal, is to get rid of all paper. I mean, we'll never get rid of all paper,
No.
but
No.
it's the idea of get rid of paper is kind of the bigger theme, and
Yeah.
it's so much better if you can attach everything to this tablet. They can go through,
Yeah.
scroll through notes in real time,
Mm-hmm.
scheduling, all that kind of dispatching that can happen in real time that right now has happened. It's Outlook, calendar, and phone calls, and the QuickBooks, and
Yep.
that's their system. But we're trying to integrate it and upgrade a little bit.
That's awesome. Yeah, it can be a fearful thing. And a lot of these systems nowadays, because funny you say that, we're looking at improving some even on for us as well. And it's garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly.
And it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort by someone or a group of people to make it, because it doesn't come out of the box specifically for you. Funnily enough, even though on the first call they're saying, listen, this will do whatever you want, we can make it work, and then you're like 20 phone calls deep going, this doesn't do what you told me it would do. Come on.
Yeah, so, and they were trying to change the way you do business in the process.
Yeah, totally.
Do business this way because it fits our software better.
Yeah, totally. You're like, excuse me, who's paying who here? But you're kind of at one point stuck to it. But it is good to automate as much as possible. Here we have a company that supplies us with vending machines, not for sodas or chips or nuts. It's actually for tooling. And it takes a lot of pressure off the like of myself or our assembly manager for instance, a little bottle of Loctite to like Loctite screws and bolts in place. We used to always have to be like, okay, we're down to a couple of bottles. I'd need a reorder. What's cool is on the vending machine, you pull one out, you pull two out, and there's a max min level. When it gets to there's only 3 left, the guy shows up, fills it up, and boom, you don't have to think about it. And that even in and of itself, just taking some of the pressure off, and then you can focus time and energy somewhere else. It's you go, really? And you're going, actually, when you do it, you realize every minute is very valuable, and you've got to make every minute count. So
yeah, that's someone spending like 2 hours a week trying to do that, probably. If otherwise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Running around, and then suddenly you find a bottle and you're like, oh, I didn't need to order it. And it's like, oh, let's get rid of that. So automation is a key to a certain point, and then it gets too much and you're like, okay, whoa, let's just hold back a little bit. So it's good. So obviously you've got some real flair people in your building, people who are artistic in all they do. But how do you rein those people in? Because obviously it needs to be precise. It needs to have functionality. There's complex installs. There's like custom pieces. How do you let people have flair, but also be like, hey, it's got to fit inside this parameter?
That's a good question. I mean, I think, a lot of the flair happens on the front end. We've got a graphic designer, and I think some of that stuff happens. We create samples, and people have inspiration images. So at the end of the day, this work order that they're being handed is very specific. It needs to be this size exactly. It needs to be match this color sample exactly. It needs to match this design exactly. So in the process, there's not much happening on that level. I think where it really shines is the creativity is when you say, like we spent a ton of time, years, trying to come up with a recycled glass countertop. We've got all these leftover shower doors that, for whatever reason, the hole was in the wrong place or we got the wrong size, we had to reject it. What do we do with it? And we thought, well, we could shatter that and fuse it back together into an inch thick countertop. Now it's completely sustainable, local countertop. And we beat ourselves to death trying to figure this thing out. And a lot of creativity, a lot of understanding the processes. And at the end of the day, it was, tempered glass doesn't fuse very well. So the quality wasn't great. But in that, we learned a lot. And then we came up with a better product, which is, it's annealed glass. It's not tempered, so it's not 100% recycled, but we can use waste cutoffs, so it's a little bit recycled. But we now came up with a completely unique, customizable countertop product, and that was that technical skill, but also that creativity to come up. Well, we could do it this way, and you got 5 people coming together and poking holes in the idea and doing trial and error. And I mean, there's a lot of creativity there where people are coming up with better ways to do things, and I think that's kind of where we shine a little bit on our product development. We don't have a formal thing, but it's like the market wants this, our customers want this. How do we meet the demand?
How do we do it?
And we always try. And sometimes we determine, we can't do 100% recycled countertops. It's just not possible. But maybe we can do this instead.
Yeah. No, it's so important. even anyone who's listening to this, product development takes time. And a lot of people rush into things and they are like, oh, we've made the best that it could be. We've even found this out as a company ourselves, like taking and getting a project where you think it's the end and then giving it a week to 2 weeks just to like mail in people's minds and like let them think and ponder, and then you come back with fresh eyes, and you maybe go, oh, what were we thinking? That's never going to work. But at the spur of the moment, you're like, oh, we've hit the jackpot. This is it. And then you realize, oh my goodness, how foolish we were. And so a lot of times, like creativity and like engineers and product developers, they need a little bit of time, and that's okay. Because like for you, it's the same as us. We want to make sure that the best possible tooling or glass is the best that it can possibly be. We don't want to send out something shoddy or it's not right. And so, yeah, giving these people a little bit of bandwidth and a little bit of freedom can, in the end, like to begin with, you're going, would you please just hurry up?
Yeah.
But then in the long term, you realize, okay, I'm glad that we waited a week or two and we figured this out and we had multiple meetings, and now it's like, okay, we've nailed it. And it's like there's always tweaks to things. Like what was good a year ago, boom, it needs a slight tweak to make it better here because everything changes. And you guys are awesome at, adapting and moving with times and changes and demands and everything else. A lot of people get stuck in the rut and it's like, no, we're not changing anything. And then it's like,
we're not a countertop company.
Yeah, we don't do this. Yeah. You're like, come on, you got to adapt, people. But no, that's pretty cool. So projects, obviously you take on anything, which seems to be a glutton for punishment, but that's okay. That's good. That makes you stand out. You're like me; it's hard to say no. But is there any project or any install that like you've completed or done or been a part of that one really challenged you, and then two, you stood back and went, "I am so glad I do what I do."
Yeah, there's a few. I mean, I think there's two that kind of pop to mind. One, I think we had it was a nice house on probably I don't know, let's call it a $10 million house on the lake. Nice big house.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's custom, highest end finishes, best stone, best woodworking, best flooring, best everything. And our portion of it was showers and mirrors and maybe a painted backsplash. Nothing too unique. And then for the fitness, the gym in the house, there is just going to be 2 doors and 5 glass panels.
Yeah.
And she comes in to pick out her antique mirror sample. I want to see what the antique mirror looks like and pick which of the ones I want. And our front entry doors are these 2 big fire molded glass doors with these kind of diagonal patterns to them. And she said, you know what? I want to change those glass doors to this. And so it was these diagonal, just like this heavy texture, fire molded. And there was the 2 doors and then the 7 panels and like a herringbone pattern. And it's that kind of stuff is, when it takes something that is this really nice house, everything's nice, but now this is the showpiece of the entire house because there's no one doing something like that.
No.
That's one that comes to mind. And
awesome.
the other one is this couple, and there's some people that won national awards for this, and we were a small part of it. Obviously the architects were a big part of it, and the builder and the designer. But I think our collaboration, and this is what you can do with the glass. This is the colors. This is the scheme. This design will look better. I think we were a big part of that. Was a big solarium in an apartment by the river, like a really nice apartment. And it was just this complete, I'd say 20-foot metal structure with, I think, 40 leaded glass panels on the top of all these different colorful rondelles. Then another big layer with like a big beveled circles and Winter Lake pattern glass wrapped around that. And then big clear glass coming down. And the idea was that they're moving from the country to the city, and they had all
Uh-huh.
the sun, and they are in this apartment now.
Uh-huh.
But we want that sun to come in and have it open and airy, but have a living space where we can have our plants. It's almost
Dude.
like a greenhouse, but a big
Uh-huh.
solarium. And it it was one of the coolest projects we've ever done. It
That's
just
awesome.
and the light panels on the ceiling. It was. I mean, I think it's on the front page of our website too.
Okay. Go
it's a
check it
pretty
out.
cool project. Yeah.
Uh-huh. That's so cool. Yeah,
We had
that
someone.
sounds amazing.
I think he worked for 2 months putting all that together. I mean, there's so many pieces.
Whoa.
Just doing
Yeah.
leaded glass, just putting
Yeah.
these pieces together.
It's like a jigsaw, but on like the proper scale.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my
And
word.
some people, I would probably go crazy if I do that for 2 months, doing the same
Yeah.
thing over and over again.
Uh-huh.
Some people, it's like they just want to get in the zone, and it's like
Let
meditative.
me do it.
Like I'm just, you're getting quick at it, and
That's
just
so
I
cool.
am where I am, and I'm going to be here for the next 2 months doing the same thing, and that's all I want to do.
Dang. That's okay. I'll do it.
Yeah.
That's happy days. Yeah,
My
that would
attention
drive me
span's going 10
insane.
different directions. I'd be lost in, an hour.
Yep. Be
Yeah.
like, get me out of here. Yeah, totally. Oh man. What are just keeping going here. What are some of the biggest sort of shifts or trends that you are seeing in custom glass design or even in specialty installs at the minute or even in the future to come?
It's weird. I think it is a very trend-driven industry, especially in
Mhm.
in residential homes.
Yeah.
But I think on the residential side, we're seeing a lot more of the metal, like the metal grids, like the black
Hmm.
metal, kind of a more modern, sleek look. So
Yeah.
we've got a few products that meet that demand, both
Cool.
one-sided, where you can squeegee it, but still have the
Uh-huh.
metal on it,
Yeah.
and then a two-sided version. You have a lot of partitions and wine
That's
enclosures.
so cool.
Those countertops, they're slowly taking off. We're still trying to
Hmm.
get that off the ground, and I think we basically need a big marketing budget to
Yeah,
really
to
get it
get those to
going. And
go. Yep.
I think it's very unique. People are
Uh-huh.
like, "Oh, is a glass countertop? Do I want that in my house?" And that kind
Yep.
of thing. And there's some
Uh-huh.
element to that, even though they've been eating on a glass dining table or
For
whatever
years,
for years, and
exactly.
it's just something
Exactly.
fundamental. Um,
Yep.
we're seeing more trends with that, just color. I think a lot of
Uh-huh.
color and different unique stuff like that. But stained glass is back in. Fused
Dude, that's
glass is
awesome.
coming back in, and antique
Uh-huh.
mirror. It's like antique mirror. It seemed to go out in the '70s, and now it's
Yep.
back in full force.
It's back with a bang.
Yeah, yeah. So we're seeing a lot of that. But stained glass, oddly enough, has just really been taking off lately.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, where I'm from in Ireland, we have some of the most amazing stained glass windows that like I have ever seen. I have no idea how the heck these guys did it. Like these, I'm talking like, hundreds of years ago.
yeah,
And the craftsmanship. And what's really cool is, apart from a little bit of touching up, they've never had to be replaced. They've never had to like change anything. But when you look at it and the light shining through, it's really hard to explain right now because it's like, unless you actually stand there and you see it, it's hard to take it in. But like
yeah,
I remember going into like there's a church in my local town and they actually had taken and hired a guy to come in and like clean them all. They were pretty dirty and they like had to be hand cleaned. And so they had this like opening event and they were showing people, hey, this is what it looks like when it's done. And I was like, I'm just gonna go have a look at it. Oh my word, I swear it almost took my breath away. There was
yeah,
one that was particular because the sun was coming in at a certain angle and the color and the light that it was throwing out throughout the rest of the church building was like phenomenal. I was like, it's almost like goosebumps trying to explain it.
yeah. No,
It's
I get
really
it.
cool.
Yeah.
If no one's ever experienced something like that, like just Google it or I don't know, fly to Ireland and go see them.
Well, it's naturally beautiful, and I think
Yeah.
people go. Let's say they go to Europe to go vacation and see the sights.
Hmm.
They go to all the churches because it has beautiful stained glass in it, and there's
Isn't that
something about it.
ironic? Yep.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
something about it.
yeah, and you're gonna love this. So there's a Irish pub in town,
Uh-huh.
and it's called McCormick's,
Uh-huh.
um, and they're great establishment.
Good.
But You'd like it. It's actually very authentic, and
Awesome.
they do very well. But they had
Okay.
gotten some stained glass from a pub in Ireland, and they
Uh-huh.
had about, like, I think they only had two pieces, but they wanted to replicate it.
The whole
And so we
thing.
replicated it times 20 and
No
put it all throughout the
way.
whole restaurant. So it looks exactly like the originals, but it's,
Dude,
throughout all their windows.
that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I might have to come visit you. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's
Let me
yeah,
know.
I'll come
We'll go get a
come see
pint.
it and be like, look at this. Take a selfie with it. That's so cool. Yeah, there's dude, I it's really hard because you want to, like, I kind of want to shake some people and be like, when you walk around and you look around, like, open your eyes and see. Like, because people go, it's a pane of glass. Okay, fair enough. Pane of glass in a door, whip-de-doo.
Yeah.
But like when you go see things like that, you're going, stop and just how would you do it? Like, how would you even start to do this? I don't know.
Yeah,
And you're
right.
like, well, think about it. That's like sheer craftsmanship. It's like talent. It's unreal. It's so cool. But yeah, stained glass, I have a very soft spot for it. And actually, this Christmas, I got my daughter a stained glass kit.
Oh,
So she started to get into that. And so it's like what, Hobby Lobby or something. But I wanted her to get into it just because she's very artsy and crafty in both sense of the words. But and she's got ginger hair, and she was bought in Ireland, and she's got dark blue eyes. So it's like I am on a no-win situation here. But she started it, and it just came in a kit and a soldering iron, and she went at it, and she loved it, like thoroughly loved it. So now I have to go take her and get more stuff and get like cutters and different things and
oh
have at it
yeah.
because she wants to like do this
You just
big
got an
collage of
expensive hobby
stuff.
that you're paying for now.
Dude, tell me all about it. I'm like, you're 16. Let's get schooling done. Let's get you a job. You can pay for these things. Kind of on that topic about like getting people into it. We talked a little bit before we came on air about getting employees and holding on to them and how difficult it is. In your opinion, what makes sort of a good glazer or installer, especially in the work that you do? Maybe not so much like like a lot of just the same old, but kind of that fine niche. Like, what makes a good installer or glazer today?
I think it's an element of being detailed,
Yeah.
but I think that's a sub trade of just being taking pride in your work.
Uh-huh.
And I think people take pride in their work and pride of the project's going well, and that
Mm-hmm.
they looked at all the details and then just we grabbed chrome U channel when it should have been black, like
Yeah.
checking the paperwork and looking, but it, like,
Yeah.
that goes towards everything, because you do that once and, oh, I made a mistake, but you do it every week and it's like, do you care about it?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that it reflects on you that you're doing that. And it's an element of being detail oriented, I think, but to take pride in your work and,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, it just like in every profession. I mean, I think, working hard and, showing up and, getting along with people is all important, but
Yeah.
what really separates the people who really excel and kind of take into that next level,
Uh-huh.
versus the people that kind of stay at the same level, is really just that detail and the pride in their work, that, they can try to do better every time and try to put out something that they're proud of and that they know that
Yes.
we'll be proud of as a company.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. It's sad when, doing a lot of these podcasts and you talk to people, one of the guys said, well, if they have a pulse and they show up on time, that's a first start in today's society. And I went, how sad, like when we actually say that, and it's like it's a joke, but it's actually there's truth in it too. Um, like we have my son who's 14 and the boss's son. Um, they come in and they do some work with us here, a couple hours, and just trying to get that work sort of ethic built into them at a young age is, like, for me, so key. And like, I know, speaking for myself, my young boy, I'm pushing him into a trade, to the fact of no one wants to get their hands dirty. No one wants to, like, all they want to do is either play computer games or write code. And there's no one willing to do the sort of like a plumber. Good luck getting a plumber these days. It's like, oh yeah, I'm 4 weeks out, and you're going, dude, my hot water tank's leaking all through the roof here, and you're telling me 4 weeks? What the heck? But it's true. And then he's like, it's not that you be snarky to him, but you're like, dude, I'm in an emergency. And he goes, so's the other 65 people that's in front of you. Get in line, because there's no one out there. Same as electricians and same as glazers. It's like these trades, sadly, there's a void happening that I'm very passionate about in trying to promote and help and bring young people along. And college isn't the be all and end all that it used to be. And in fact, it's actually I think it's actually the opposite, where, hands-on work is like so key and critical.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Learning and teaching these guys and helping them and equipping them and being patient with them, because sometimes can be quite challenging. But yeah.
No, I know it's the computers and video games and all that, but I think another element too is that there's under this belief that everyone to get a good job has to go to a university and get a college degree. Didn't always used to be that way. Like my grandpa decided he was going to go and be a welder. And he became very successful. Having his own steel business, and that was every generation. Not to say that one is more or less successful than the other. But
totally.
You get kids in class who, they used to go to shop class and they turned that into a trade, and they turned that into a good career, and they could raise a family. Now it's like, no, everyone needs to go to university and go. It's like, those are academic. That's an academic pursuit, or maybe you're studying business, and there's a value in that. But at the end of the day, even if you go to a business degree, really don't know what you're doing at a company. You learn it on the job. You have that little bit to show that, I can do the work, and I can show up, and I can get good grades, and I can work hard. There's other ways to evaluate that. And I think as a society that maybe that's something that, we're starting to learn a little bit. People realize the value of the university isn't quite what we all thought
it used to. Yeah, totally. And what's hard is it's like there's 60 kids in a class and there's only one job. So what do the other 59 do? It's like, hello.
Yeah.
And by then it's too late, and it's like, oh, I'm in my 30s. Oh, and a ton of debt. And it's like, oh my word. Yeah.
It's be an apprentice and have no debt and, be making just as much,
exactly.
When I'm a journeyman or whatever I end up at.
Totally. We have, I always like to bum and blow about a young lad we have in our company. I won't mention his name, but he's a success story that I would love to replicate everywhere. He came to us. He was a painter and a fixer upper in apartment blocks, and he came to us with zero experience in a machine shop. I mean, like, this guy, there was nothing on paper, but there was something about him that I'm like, oh, I want to give this guy a shot. Give him a shot. Came in on the saw, worked his butt off on the saw, was the best saw operator. Then he was like, he was pushing, saying, hey, I'd like to go run the CNC machines. Great, let's get you over there. Run those, mastered those. And then he was like, oh, I'd like to try my hand at programming. Tried his hand at programming, mastered that. And anything you throw at this guy is like, no issue. Yeah, I'll take it. I'll do it. I'll have at it. He's now the machine shop manager. So he came in as a saw operator, and now he runs the whole machine shop. He is like phenomenal, this young lad. Just a work ethic and a willingness and a nothing is too hard. We'll figure it out. It's unreal. And he stands out like a sore thumb, because 99.9% of everybody else is like, I don't want to do that. That's too difficult. So yeah, it's tough, man. Yeah, something like that. Who knows? Yeah. But obviously with young people, there can be a lot of trial and error. That goes for us too. There's not a day around this place here that Mr. Merv doesn't make a mistake or a bit of a boo-boo somewhere, but that's okay. We own it. There's a lot of trial and errors, but what's one lesson that you've had to learn, sadly, the hard way, that you pass on to others?
Yeah, I mean, I think It's kind of hard to say. I mean, obviously, like you said, there's so many of them that, like, especially if you're trying to grow and do new things, there's going to be lots of trial and
Yeah.
error.
Yeah.
But I think, for us, we really jumped. When I got here, it was like we could do everything. But there weren't guardrails. There weren't these meetings, and something that we kind of implemented was just a cross-functional team to talk about like these complex jobs that we have. That the guy who's going to use the belt sander to size the glass is different than the guy who's going to be applying the metal to the glass, is different than the graphic designer who's coming up with the design, is different than the installer, is different than the shop manager who knows when the glass comes in, how long it's going to take to fabricate, how long it's going to take to do all that. And before that, we had someone who'd been here for years and years, and they just, well, this is the way we've always done it. And it was like, here you go. You guys all figure it out, and now it's up to everyone on the back end to figure out this whole project versus on the front end where you get all your ducks in a row and determine how long is this going to take, what do we need, what we don't need to go to Home Depot and buy a bunch of parts on the way to the job, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that was something that, it's kind of having all the ducks in a row and being hyper vigilant about it, which it's kind of easy to just think that everyone understands exactly what you're thinking, how it needs to be done, or, how the salesperson thinks it's going to be done. But that's not the case. Everyone thinks everyone is completely on the same page, and they rarely are. And those cross-functional meetings are kind of key for that. And that's helped us a lot to eliminate a lot of those mistakes and errors.
So cool.
I mean, not to say that we don't do it still, but I mean, we track it. It's called, waste, areas of waste. And we literally assign a dollar value to that.
Wow.
And it's tied to, everyone's bonus and, the based on revenue. And, we always try to do less every year.
Oh yeah.
And, a part of that is to have those meetings and to really, try to eliminate all those errors. And some of them you can eliminate them. Some of them are, the vendor sends you the wrong thing, and, that's not really something that you had control over. But that's, I think something, to just take that extra time, not to, we want to do all this stuff. And, crank it out. But, to take that extra time, I think has been something that we've all really had to embrace.
Totally. No, that's helpful. Yeah, just slow down. And to your point, good communication is key in a business. If you're not communicating, there will be issues. You can't kind of over communicate. And one thing, like, I like emails and texts and stuff, but there's nothing like a face-to-face for getting stuff figured out and sorting it out. And sometimes that involves, get the appropriate people in a room, in a meeting, and let's hash it out and be done. And everyone knows what they're doing, rather than back and forth with 25 million emails, and you're like, where are we at with this project again?
Yeah, I've been on chains before where there's 12 emails back and forth, and people still can't figure out what the hell we're doing.
Exactly.
And I said, and I'll say to my people, sometimes a phone is your friend. Like, make the phone call.
Exactly.
And I'll call them right there in my office and say, what are we doing here? And they say, well, I meant this. I'm like, oh, all right. Well, that was a 30-second conversation. Get to the crux of it, and then we move on. And
let's
now
get her done.
We can get going, and everyone's happy, and everyone's on the same page. And
that's so
I think you kind of lose something with all these emails, to be honest.
Yeah, you do.
A phone call solves so much of it. I don't know what it is. People they'd rather do the email than pick up the phone.
I know. It's like, are you afraid of someone's voice? Like, hello? Like, you're going to have to talk to them at some point.
Communicating. Yeah.
Exactly. It's just a different way. Yeah. I think it's the technology and the age that we live in where, text messaging is so quick. Like, AI can send a darn text now for you. It's like, are they reading my mind? Do they know what I want in this thing? Like, even your emails now, it has like this weird automatic reply, and you're going, it doesn't sound like me. But how many people use it? And it's just generic, and it's like, boop. But there's no accountability for it because it really wasn't you that sent it. And anyways, we could be here all day talking about that.
Oh, I know. That's
anyways.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Back to you. Kind of a couple of last questions here. Are there any, speaking about you personally, are there any books, any podcasts, even any people that you look to for inspiration or just, guidance and help?
Yeah, books. I'm kind of into history books,
Nice.
so there's maybe not. I don't know if that's inspirational. That's more of like a hobby, but I think the podcast, I definitely get inspiration from that.
Good.
Kind of more business focused one. I listen to some history ones, but like business focused would be like, the All In podcast. I think those are a lot of California guys. They're
Yep.
got a lot of technology and that kind of thing. Founders. Have you ever heard of Founders podcast?
Yeah.
That is excellent. And you listen to that and you listen to what these guys did to get their business going and
Yep.
how obsessive they were about cost or quality and
All of it.
all these guys and some of them are real assholes.
I know. You're like,
You're like,
why is this person all here?
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And but like they really did. They achieved something that probably wouldn't be able to achieve without being that way.
Yeah.
But I think they're just very driven, ambitious people, and I always learn something from one of those podcasts. I mean, it's a guy who came over on the boat from Scotland and built a steel empire, and because he was obsessive about his trade and technology and just really grinding it out.
Oh yeah, totally. Oh, that's cool. Awesome. Yeah, I love my history too. Yeah, we may have another podcast about our history, things that we like, but that's for another day. Last question, kind of wrapping this all up. It's 2026. It's the beginning of the year. Are there any big goals, any visions that you have, anything you're chasing after in this year or the years to come that you want to share with us?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got a lot going on the residential side, and I think I think we're the biggest for custom builders and remodelers in terms of interior glass. So I mean, I'd love to grow that presence, but we've also grown into we also do the commodity side, which we have another business which is apartments, tract homes, and that's really been growing. So that's kind of a big goal for us is to really dive into that and grow it. And it's it kind of we started at this, and now it's kind of taking off, and
Keeping up.
it's kind of a snowball that keeps getting bigger, and it's being able to handle that. But the other big goal I think is, like I kind of referenced earlier, was that you get those tablets going and that new technology, and try to get that rolling. And people who've been working with paper for 20 years to completely embrace that technology. It'll be an uphill battle, but I think everyone in the end will appreciate it.
It will be, but you'll get there. Hey, you take on any challenges. Come on. That's the theme of this whole podcast. There's not a challenge that Andrew will not take and crack. So, your people better beware. Just embrace it now. Don't kick against it. You're going to have to embrace it no matter what the consequences.
It's happening. It's happening. Yeah.
It's happening. It's going down, whether you like it or not. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for being on this podcast. I really appreciate your time and your insight and your talents. It's an absolute privilege. If anybody wanted to find out who you are, your company, now's your time to plug it.
Yeah. So our company is Glass Art Design, glassartdesign.com. We're on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, all the socials. And friend me on LinkedIn and look up our company. And if you want some custom glass, send an email.
Here's your man, big time.
Yeah.
Well, that is a wrap on this episode of the Cutting Edge Install. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow and subscribe that you don't miss any going forward. And if you haven't listened to the previous ones, by all means, go on and listen to them. Leave us a quick review or share it with your crew. Keep an eye out. We drop them every other Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific time. For more about Omni Cubed, where I am, go on our website, omnicubed.com, and check it all out. And we make tools to help fabricators, installers, and everyone else. So please go check that out. And until the next time I see you all or you hear my dulcet tones, cheerio, stay safe, and be good. Take care.